Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Joe, and welcome back to another episode of Inside Our Phillies. Again, there has not been too much that's happened in the last week, but free agency has started to pick up a little bit. And here to talk all about it, we have Jeremy, SJ Phil's fan. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Great. We also have had Giles. How's it going, Giles?
Oh, pretty good. Space Station won their quarterfinal game in the regional North American finals, so I'm in a bit of a happier mood than I otherwise would be. Set me up for more future international disappointment. But
There
good
you
now.
go. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, enjoying the long weekend. Makes me think every weekend should be a long weekend to get these extra days off of work. Very nice. But there have been some pretty big news pieces to come out over this last week. The biggest thing is probably the trade that we saw between the Texas Rangers and the New York Mets, which appears to just be a one-for-one Brandon Nimmo, Marcus Semien swap of Brandon Nimmo's never been an all-star, but two very good, probably all-star level players in the past. We'll go to you first on this one, Giles. What did you think about that trade?
I think it's kind of both ways. I think the Mets think that Semien can sort of return to what he was, before 25, which was obviously a down year. For him, he was still good, but he wasn't, what he's been in the past. And Nimmo's sort of a more stable guy, but seems to have a bit of a lower ceiling than Semien. And if the Rangers think that Semien's just going to keep declining, then swapping him for Nimmo actually kind of makes sense. So, you just get a stable presence and drop the guy you think is kind of fallen off a cliff, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. How about you, Jeremy?
I mean, it's a little bit more simple than that. The reason is the Rangers are cutting salary this year, and Simeon's making 26 million this year, 26 million in 2027, and 20 million 2028. But Nimmo's making a flat 20 million for the next 5 years, so they're just saving like 12 million the next 2 years. So that's the
Add on
biggest
those two
reason why
extra
they're doing
years at
that.
the end. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
it's
how
20
old
million.
Marcus Semien was. Like, Marcus Semien is going into his age 35 season. I didn't realize he was that up there in age. Unbelievable. I mean, Nimmo is heading into his age 33 season, I believe, so he's still
been
pretty
around
old.
since 2013.
I didn't realize it had been that long, right? Maybe
right.
it's just me.
Oh yeah, he was with the A's for 6 years, so yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the A's farm system guys, as everybody else calls him.
There you go.
He also looks the same. He's like,
No.
so
You're
yeah,
totally
hasn't
right.
aged. So yeah, so that's that's it's besides obviously declining, but they also are like they're cutting salary. The Mets think they can fix his offense too. So yes, he's declining, but it's also the fact that they could save 12 million by getting Nimmo. Who, I mean, personally, I love this trade because Nimmo is one of those guys who just pesky and just kills us and pain in the butt. So
Yeah, we don't
Oh,
get to play him anymore.
yeah.
Win
I don't
for us.
know if
I love the
there's-
trade.
Yeah. I don't know if there was anything that irritated me quite as much as Brandon Nimmo sprinting to first base after a walk, and I'm glad that I don't have to see that anymore. From the Mets' perspective, though, like I kind of think the Mets might have come out of this a little bit ahead. The money is not a big deal for them. They're kind of getting out of what was a very bad contract to Brandon Nimmo 2 years early now with Semien. Semien is much better defensively, and Nimmo with his like chronic problems with his legs, probably is going to just continue to decline in the outfield. Semien should at least be able to provide some very good middle infield defense, and even if he's not providing a ton of value at the plate, which he didn't last year, roughly league average, I think he could still be better than Jeff McNeil has been for the Mets. And with all of the talk about how Jeff McNeil might not be best friends with the rest of the Mets, I think that might be part of why they wanted to go for Semien in particular.
Oh wow, so the Mets also sent 5 million in the deal too. But another thing is, yeah, it's kind of funny. Like the Mets want to get out of the contract in 3 years rather than 6 years. So
Right.
so for them, it's saving money sooner. Like, okay, good, we get off for the Rangers. It's like, okay, how can we finagle like this perfect payroll?
Well, this is like what the Phillies were talking about 2 years ago with Castellanos. Like when the Phillies were first shipping around Castellanos, like, what kind of bad contract can we take in exchange for getting rid of this bad contract, right? Like you're obviously not going to get, a young player on a cheap deal for trading Brandon Nimmo, but you're able to get a productive player that's probably overpaid and has a contract that's too long. And this is probably the kind of stuff that the Phillies should have done years ago with Nick Castellanos, to be honest with you.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
but
that the level of awfulness that you see from the Semien and Nimmo contracts, they're just not comparable to Castellanos. I mean, Semien and Nimmo are both still like, at least on Fangraphs, 2 and 3 WAR players right now, whereas Castellanos is just like zero. He's zero. So I just don't think I think it's sort of similar, but the scale is just not the same in those situations.
I agree. His first year, we couldn't. He was like, okay, he's crap. We can't trade him because hopefully he could rebound. And then he kind of rebounded, but then wasn't good. But still, so then they kept him after 2023, and then he's been awful since. So
I know there was some talk last year about maybe trading Castellanos for Jake Cronenworth. Cronenworth, who has 5 years left on his contract, getting about $12.3 million a year. I would have done that if I was the Phillies, even though, Cronenworth is going to end that at age 36. I think I still would have done that just because I think Cronenworth's a better player. He's younger, and at least he has the positional
clubhouse
versatility.
and like the whole clubhouse
I,
stuff.
I
Yeah, but the problem is now the Padres ownership is in such a flux, and I feel bad for the fans. Like they had an owner who was willing to spend everything. He dies, and then his brothers wanted to sell, but the wife wants to keep the team, and it's a mess.
Complete mess. What were
I
you saying,
just I just
Giles?
think that I just think we have to like ever since even 2023 where Castellanos sort of bounced back. I think the only way he's ever getting off this team is just straight releasing him. Like I just don't
Oh,
think there's
it's
a
going to
world,
happen.
barring you eating $19 million of his $20 million contract, where you trade him for anything. Just that he is negative, like not just slightly negative value, he is immensely negative value. I just don't see any reason any team would go, I don't know, why should we be interested in this guy? So I think the only world where he was ever going to get off the team was by them just cutting him.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't want to trade him for another crap player, so or another crap player. I just rather cut loose and just use and try to improve the team, not just swap bad contract.
It seems, according to John Heyman, this came out a couple days ago. The Marlins and Pirates are some teams that would consider adding Nick Castellanos. I'm guessing the
Oh,
Phillies
that's
would have to
shocking.
Phillies would probably
Yeah,
have to eat that entire contract. But sure, if
I,
they want to give us $2 million and whatever, we'll cover everything but that $1 or $2 million. Sure, go be a Pirate, Nick Castellanos.
I've been calling Nick Castellanos future Pirate since the start of the offseason. I would laugh my ass off if he went to Pittsburgh because like Pittsburgh's token, we're trying to compete guy, that they always try and do to like pretend that they're a serious franchise.
Right.
I would
Yeah.
laugh so hard.
What an outfield that would be in Pittsburgh with Castellanos and so got Brian Reynolds out there, right?
Jesus.
Funny stuff.
God. 2021, that'd be great outfield.
Yeah, no kidding. Other things from John Heyman. See if you guys have anything that you think about this. Schwarber and Realmuto are the main focus now. Apparently, Schwarber and the Phillies are very far away from coming to a contract. Still, the Phillies are lurking on Cody Bellinger. And Harrison Bader remains a potential fit. I feel like I've been hearing about the Phillies and Bellinger forever at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can start. I want to follow my thoughts.
Yeah. No.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like Bellinger. Kind of it's like just when you look at his numbers and everything. Really, his MVP year was the outlier. Everything else has been pretty much the same. A 260 hitter with pretty good defense and power. So really 2021 was only his really bad year. 2022 was recovering from that surgery. So you're going to get a 260 to 270 hitter, OPS around 800, could play outfield and first base, but he's another lefty. And he kind of feels like another Harper.
Mm-hmm.
So if
I
you
think with
if you could do exactly what he did this year, playing for the Yankees, but like how much? I mean, look how
he's
much
not
was
playing
that
Little League
at
Stadium
home?
when he comes over here. like that right field
Yeah,
porch. And,
yeah, big time. At a home, 909 OPS, away 715 OPS. I do not want him.
yeah, yeah. So listen, I think he is a slightly better in terms of peripherals, left-handed, and better defensive Harrison Bader if you put him in center field. But I I, I think somebody's going to overpay for him. With regards to Schwarber, I totally get the Phillies not being close. I think Schwarber wants 5 years. I think somebody's going to give him 5 years. I don't think the Phillies are going to. So I'm pretty staunch on the fact that I don't think that that's going to happen. As sad as that makes me, Phillies and Schwarber coming back together. With Harrison Bader, I think Bader is going to run into a sort of Arrieta 2018 situation where he believes he is worth more than he is, and he ends up not getting signed for a very long time because of it. Because his base numbers for 2025 are really good, but just his peripheral scream, he's going to come back to earth next season. And I think, most teams are smart enough to see that and will go, yeah, we're not going to give this dude some kind of really expensive, contract. And he's, I think, kind of wants a upper mid-level deal based on last year potentially. So, I think he's going to go unsigned for a little bit because of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like the peripherals are bad with Bader. Maybe not bad, but certainly not to the level that he's performed at last year. But I think he might get overpaid just because he's a right-handed hitting,
Yep,
solid defensive outfielder. And who else in the market kind of gives you both of
true.
those things combined in one player? Like it makes me think that he could get some kind of 3 years, $60 million deal that a team's probably going to think like, oh my god, why did we sign this a year later?
Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
don't pay a guy based off of one career season. We learned this lesson with Castellanos. And they can get Bader for a reasonable price. I'm all in. I really like him. But, I don't like him for, like you said, like 3 years and $60 million.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it more and more on this podcast. We've done it plenty of times already. But that, and with what you were saying about Schwarber, because I'm totally with you, Giles, that I'm thinking more and more that it's less likely that Schwarber returns. But I don't think that's a bad thing. But more and more, I'm kind of along the lines that, like, 2026 just needs to be a retooling year. Like, the Phillies are kind of at that threshold where if they continue to push forward, they're going to get to the point where they can't go back and they're kind of stuck with bad contracts and they're going to hate it for 4 or 5 years. They already might, honestly, with the contracts that they have. They're, paying Harper, maybe he'll even get extended, Turner, Nola, all these guys in 5 years. Not really where I'm going to want to be as far as being competitive. But it could get a whole lot worse this offseason. And I am just getting more and more convinced that the smart move is to step back and not go all in for 2026.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I agree. Um,
Yeah.
add around the peripherals, add around the edges, but I don't think they need to go and make some massive splash move. Maybe see if you can get any guys from Japan just for the simple matter of getting a guy from Japan and like kind of cracking open the market for yourself. Uh, and see what Crawford and Painter have this year. I think I put a post up about this. This is a really really crucial year for the Phillies farm system. To see what kind of rewards we're going to reap from them, if any at all, with in terms of Crawford, Painter, and Miller. So this is, even if it's not a competitive like World Series window year, it's an incredibly important year for this franchise coming up.
Yeah. I mean, see what they have, right? Like, if they
Yep.
turn out to be busts, then we are going to probably have to rebuild from the ground up. Because, like, the mid level players in this farm system are gone. And we
Yep.
need at least 2 out of 3 of Painter, Miller, and Crawford to pan out. And I would say that 2 of those guys, Painter and Crawford, they have at the very least orange flags. And I would maybe even argue red flags at this point. And I don't think I'd be comfortable betting on either of those 2 guys panning out. I feel better about Miller, but if Miller is the only one that pans out, like that's probably not enough young talent to infuse into the team to really kind of get them over the hump of this generation. Um, it's a tough spot that the Phillies are in.
What if he's the next Mike Schmidt?
Well, I mean that's like a 99.9 percentile outcome, and that would be enough. but
Well, that's what's going to happen, man. I'm telling you. Put your money in the bank. Aiden Miller is the next Mike Schmidt. You heard it here first.
I hope so. I feel like it's more likely that he becomes like a better Alec Boehm.
Oh, come on.
I mean, better defense. Maybe he's going to stick in the middle infield.
Will he lift the baseball?
A touch more power. I don't think Aiden Miller is going to be a guy that is hitting 25 home runs. He'll give you 15 or 20 instead of 10.
Aiden Miller's supposed to be a big power bat.
Yeah, he is. That's what I read on it, at least in a scout report. I think it'd be a pretty big letdown if he isn't, at least a 25-30 home run dude.
I hope so.
Yeah, the stolen bases was a surprise.
No, that's true. I mean, if he sticks in the middle infield, then his ceiling is so much higher, right? Like if he can just stay in the middle infield and give us like a 120 OPS plus at second base or shortstop, that's all of a sudden, a 5-WAR player, a 6-WAR player, and that is incredible. I would love that. If he gets moved to third base or something like that, then you need the power because we've seen how, a third baseman that just slaps the ball around, not good enough.
No, but yeah. Case point of a batting average not really being determinative of a player value right there with Boehm.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think Boehm is worth? Phillies rumored to be shopping him again. What do you get in return for Alec Boehm this year?
Prospect-wise or dollar value?
Whatever you want. Like, what trade do you think sounds right to you for Alec Boehm? Doesn't even have to be for a prospect.
I'll let Jeremy handle this. I'm going to think about this for a second.
Oh, yeah, so he's worth a fifth or sixth starter who you think you can figure it out, or like a middle reliever. That's all he's worth.
I kind of think I'm with you.
Yeah, I think if I am going to go, I'm going to be a little unorthodox with this here. I'm going to use NFL terms for this. If I was shopping Alec Boehm, I would want like a third and a sixth maybe for him. Or
third round pick is too much for Alec Boehm in NFL terms. I was going to say
he would get
a sixth round alone.
Sixth round or lower. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Boehm is around a 2-WAR guy. It looks like now, which is a reasonably decent starter. It's not going to elevate your team or anything.
He's not. So he's maybe not worth 2-WAR.
On Fangraphs, he'd be pretty close to that right now.
No. We are a Baseball Reference podcast. Thank you very much.
Wow, I'm a Fangraphs purist. Have been since I was 12 years old. So that's what I'm going to keep using. And if he plays a full season, he only played 120 games last year, or this year, I guess you could say. He probably eclipses 2 F4, and that's it's not a great player, but it's certainly a serviceable guy you could plug in. But he's just not not a top level third baseman. So I'd say like a mid-round draft pick or something if we're using NFL terms.
What is his? What is his WAR per 162 on Fangraphs? On Baseball Reference, his WAR per 162 games is 1.2. His WAR per season is under 1. I'm wondering how that compares on Fangraphs.
1 second. Let me just do the quick math here. Divide by 20. It would be about 2.3 last
across his career?
Well, for last season.
What about like across his entire career?
Give me a second. 9.3 by 119. Shoot. That would be 6 seasons. Next time. I'm trying to do some head math right now.
No, you're good.
Talk about something else while I do this real quick.
Alec Boehm is terrible, and if he's worth more than 2-WAR, that site is inherently flawed.
Well,
I don't think he's gonna be worth more than 2-WAR. I think 20.
I mean, 2+ is supposed to be a starter. So
6 times 162 and 972.
This is why Baseball Reference is better. The number's just right there in Baseball Reference.
Yep.
Okay. Whatever. I'm just gonna say I'm going to do some quick. I'm just gonna do head math and look at this quickly, and use my engineer guesstimate. It's probably like 1.7 or so.
Okay.
1.5.
I think
for 162.
I think that sounds like about right, like a below average starter, but not like an abomination. Like I feel like that's a pretty good description of Alec Boehm.
And
Yep.
that's including his like really large outlier year, 2021, which I think we can agree isn't who he is right now as a player. So you got
I
to
would
take that into
argue
the equation, obviously. But yeah,
2024 is just as big of an outlier in the positive
yeah,
direction,
true.
though, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Alec Boehm is just one of those typical change of scenery guys where, like, I don't think anybody would particularly miss him if he's gone, even if you don't get a lot out of him, and you just add somebody into the bullpen or
And I
get
wouldn't be shocked if he's like a Justin Turner type of player that explodes because he somehow what they're saying clicks in his brain and then he's able to like swing
launch the ball.
for the yeah.
Power good, ball on ground bad. Oh,
It'll finally understand it. Alec Boehm's going to kill the Phillies whenever he plays the Phillies in
oh
the future.
God,
No.
no.
And
Yeah,
for some reason, whenever we play people so we don't know how to exploit their flaws, like it just I don't understand.
But back to the point we were originally at a long time ago about the Phillies should really try to go all in for 2026. One of the reasons I think that they shouldn't is because I don't think the division is going to be that competitive in 2026. If you take a look at what happened, like the Marlins are the Marlins, they're not going
yep.
to be competitive. The Nationals seems like they've all of a sudden fallen behind again, and they didn't kind of take that step forward that people thought they would take last year. The Braves exploded. Ronald Acuna doesn't look like he's the same anymore. I don't think you can expect a ton out of the Braves. Who knows what's going to happen with Spencer Strider? Chris Sale's going to keep getting older. And with the Mets are again one of the older teams in baseball, and they pretty much need to assemble an entire starting rotation over the offseason. I don't think it would surprise people if a lot of these young players, Tong and McClain and everything, if they took a step back, as the book is written on them. So I think the Phillies can kind of go about this in a more relaxed way, not going all in, kind of just keeping steady for now, and then if the situation rises next July at the trade deadline, then you can add to the team as necessary without kind of mortgaging the future years by giving out some contracts that you might regret.
I totally agree. Just I think that I agree with that.
Like the NL East
Yep.
was maybe the worst division in baseball last year, which is crazy to say.
Right.
Crazy. Anyways, let's kind of move on to our next discussion topic, and this has to deal with the deal that Dylan Cease signed, which I think was for a lot more than what people were expecting. Dylan Cease was signed to a 7-year, $210 million contract with the Toronto Blue Jays. This was quite a bit more than Dylan Cease was projected. So my question for you guys, and we'll start with you on this one, Jeremy. Number one, do you think that this is going to set the market and that we're going to see projections get beaten all over the place? Or do you think this is more of a kind of unique Toronto situation, not the most desirable place to play? What do you make of this and how do you think this is going to set the table for the rest of the offseason?
Well, there's two things. One, Cease has his peripherals are a lot better than his overall numbers. For some reason, the defense was terrible when he was pitching for them, even though the Padres had an above average defense. His FIP was 3.56, he's got like one of the best fastballs in the league. The Toronto has been shown they have to overpay to get people. They were in on Ohtani, he didn't sign. They were who else was they were in on I forget, but they've been on so many free agents over the years, and they just don't sign. They had to overpay for Santander last year to get him, and he was hurt all year. So this is two things. Rogers owns the Blue Jays, and they have like a monopoly over everything in Canada, telecom related. And they probably like, oh my god, we made the World Series. We actually made a shit ton of money. So like, it's good. So they're more willing now to spend the money since they like what usually happens with these freaking teams when they make big playoff runs. Like, oh my god, we can spend. Who knew this could happen to a good team? So yeah, that's why Vlad got 500 million, even though he really isn't worth 500 million because he's a big first baseman.
Right.
Yeah. So 30 million for him, it's overpay, but only by a couple million. Like if you got like 27 million, would you really be like, oh, that's not a big deal? It's the fact that it's Canada. They've always had to overpay. They just made the World Series, so trying to show more. and Cease's peripherals have always been better than his numbers have shown. 2022 is the 1 year he beat his FIP. Every other than that, his FIP has been better. So
he's a guy that's never been hurt, right? I mean, he hasn't missed time in the entire duration of his MLB career. He came up in 2019. He pitched a full 2020, whatever a full season in that means, and then he kind of played full seasons, starting at least 32 games in every season since 2021. There's not many starting pitchers like that, but to me, like, it just seems so much like Aaron Nola, but with maybe a little bit better stuff. That's what I think Dylan sees.
way better than Nola.
Way better.
Nola never threw
Way
as hard
better.
as Cease.
I mean, Cease's 2022 is Aaron Nola's 2018, right? That's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, but stuff-wise, Nola has never had the stuff that Cease has had.
I agree. Go ahead.
So
What were you saying, Giles?
So, I think I have a bit of a different perspective. I think what it is, it's a bit of speculation on future value. And so you go look at his Savant page, his clearly still has, elite level stuff. He's getting tons of strikeouts, still getting a lot of swing and a miss on his stuff. His fastball velo is still elite. So, the stuff is still there. It's not like, say, 2023 with Nola, where you can see maybe the strikeout sort of petering out just a touch when they went and signed Aaron Nola. I could look it up. I don't have it right in front of me right now. But, with Cease, his xERA is a full run lower than his ERA this year. And, there's been years where, like Jeremy says, where he hasn't beat his FIP, but it's never really been to this extent, or especially with his xERA. I think the biggest gap in his career in terms of his ERA being worse than his expected ERA was 2023, where it was a 4.58 instead of a 4.11. This year is a 4.55.
That's when he was on the White Sox worst year.
Yeah. This year's a 4.55 with the Padres. The xERA is 3.46. And he's still a 3.4 F4 player. He still gets 11.5 strikeouts per 9. His walks aren't great. And what really stands out to me is his home runs per 9 is 1.1. And, we're going to have to just see if that, is just kind of randomness on fly balls, or if that's just him being, worse. And I think the one thing you could say that's kind of concerning is his ground ball rate going down by 3%, but also his BABIP jumped 57 points this season from the last season. So he's already at 3.4 F4, is near the value he had in for the contract right now. But if he just returns to even 2024 form, where it was 4.7 F4, he's worth the contract they're going to be paying him for $30 million. So they're just, I think, speculating that 2024 are the results that Cease is going to continue to get, and 2025 is just a little random and kind of outlier-ish, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, with the lockout, who knows what's going to happen? So maybe they're saying this contract could be totally changed with how the CBA is going to go.
Yep, I forgot about the lockout. I love being reminded that we're probably not going to have baseball in 2027.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately kind of the reality that we're going to have to deal with, and I think we're going to have to see how teams kind of factor that into how they handle the offseason this year, and I think that there's so many ways that could go. It's going to be interesting. But from what it sounds like you're saying, you don't think that the Cease contract is necessarily going to be representative of how the entire free agent class goes, and you think it might just be an example because of his peripherals.
Yeah, I think it's his peripherals a lot, and also the fact that he was still a pretty good pitcher last year, just from pure production wise, if you're looking just WAR. So
right,
I don't think it really is a breaking the market situation like say Harper or Machado in 2019 or something.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's really just
anything.
2 years too long. That's really what it is.
Yeah,
which is sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah, especially if you're not going to be one of the Dodgers or Yankees teams that just everybody wants to flock to because you're the big guy. Blue Jays probably have some kind of natural inclination to overpay because they might have to after always being the bridesmaid and never the bride. So kind of going off of that, it's a good idea that you had Giles to talk about in this. So we'll go to you on this one first. But like, what are one or two things or rules in baseball that you would want to change and why? And we already talked about this for like on the field rules during the season, so let's kind of keep it roster construction, off season focused.
So I will admit that I was thinking about sort of on the field stuff, but one thing that comes to mind for me is I think teams should. I don't know how you do it, so I will admit I don't have a plan for this. But teams need to be held sort of more accountable for screwing over players in their contracts. I think like the Pirates with Rowdy Tellez, whenever they had Tellez, and he was like 3 plate appearances away from getting his bonus money in his contract, and the Pirates decide to DFA him right at the end of the season because they're cheap ass dog shit organization that wanted to save like a penny on a veteran they brought in, to come play for their awful organization. I think that kind of stuff is just icky and doesn't really have a place in baseball. I think there should be at least some kind of investigation into those things. I also, I'm just gonna, kill the elephant in the room here real quick. There should be some form of a salary cap, and if you want a salary floor as well, just for the
You have
fact
to
that
have
I
a floor with
think,
the cap.
yeah, I can agree to that.
Well, no,
Um,
people keep. Now there is a salary floor. It's the minimum salary times 26. That is the
yep,
floor. It's a low
yep.
floor, but there is a floor.
I just think that what happens right now is without a cap, you aren't. We're not talking about the small market teams beating out the big market teams. And just from my point of view, there is a limit to how much some of these teams can spend. I'm not saying that they are spending that limit. Obviously, teams like the Pirates are not. But like say a medium market team like the Indians or something, or Guardians, sorry. Uh, you know,
Cancel.
they just don't bother with big name free agents. They'll bother with the mid level guys and stuff like that, but they won't bother with big name free agents because they know that they're just going to get beaten out by the Dodgers anyways. So because the Dodgers can just throw $500 million at whoever the hell they want. So why even bother? So we're just not even going to go try and get like an Otani or something like that because just the way the revenue sharing is set up, even though there is revenue sharing, it doesn't you know the Dodgers are still so much farther ahead of everybody just because of how much their RSN brings in, and that's into a different discussion about RSNs. But there has to be some kind of reworking of how we manage how much money these teams spend.
Yeah, no, I mean, Joe and I are pretty much pro cap if it's done correctly. But like everyone should be able to have to spend more, but it doesn't have to be the NHL cap which like caused everyone to get paid less. That's not the problem.
Yes, I think if you're going to set up a cap right now, it has to be set to where the Dodgers are right now, just so that like somebody doesn't, who's on the Dodgers right now, who was like, yeah, I want to sign with the Dodgers before the idea of a cap was proposed, doesn't end up getting screwed and like shipped off to the Pirates or the Rockies or something in the name of,
But what's
getting underneath the cap.
what's the point of having a cap then if it's at what already the highest betting team is
Well,
is spending?
because
No,
Doesn't
no,
do anything
no.
at that point.
because contracts are going to keep inflating. Eventually, it will balance out. It's just not going to be an instant, elixir. But
Yeah,
contracts will keep getting bigger, and the
yeah.
Dodgers
Yeah,
won't be able to add to that
because
roster.
but once we have the hard cap, then you can institute the higher floor too. So that's
Hmm. My issue with the floor is I don't like a lot of people say
no,
that
there
it'll
always
make teams like
no, there will always be a floor. It's the minimum salary times 26.
yeah.
There's always a floor.
Well, I'm saying with raising the floor, then I guess we can talk about is that I don't know that it does much for making teams like the Pirates or Rockies more competitive because then those teams will just spend the new floor. Like if you make the floor like $40 million, for instance, right? Um, those teams will just spend $40 million on a bunch of cheap players who like whoever, just like bring in this guy, whatever,
Oh, the floor
trying
should
to
be
use it as
100.
a
The
floor.
floor should be 120 million. Like
It would
I
have
think
to be
that's
a
the only
real
way you're gonna
number.
get it.
It
Yeah, it has
has
to
to
be
be
a
a
real
real
number.
yeah,
number.
yeah.
I don't
I'm not
I
saying
just
this
don't know if
doesn't.
you can get that through realistically with the owners.
You probably can.
But yeah, you can't have a but nope. The players would not ever agree to a cap if the floor doesn't get raised.
Yep.
I think they needs to be
It's
like
it's
hockey.
it's like it's going to be a year-long lockout. That's just the owners. There are going to be the medium market teams. I think are going to be pissy about the fact that the Dodgers won the World Series again this year, and they're just going to keep buying up the good players. So they're going to demand a salary cap, which will make the players really angry. And they'll demand a salary floor, which will make the low-level owners really angry, and then just everybody's going to be pissed off, except for maybe the big market owners. And that's it.
The owners would never agreed up. The easiest way to get the players to agree to a cap is to give restricted free agency, but they'll never do it. So
kind of on the lines of RFAs, one of the things that I think should change, like the qualifying offer, is just so stupid.
Terrible.
Like the qualifying offer just needs to go away.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, what's the point?
Yeah, no, seriously, it needs to just be like the NFL does. You get which is basically the old arbitration system, but without you losing picks.
Right.
Well, are we talking like the old arbitrations, like for the NFL or MLB?
MLB, like the Type A, Type B, Type C free agents.
We're gonna like not go back to arbitration manipulation, though, right?
No. But my thing, you bring back the classification of free agents, and then if some team signs those, you get compensation picks, but you don't lose picks for you don't lose picks for signing them.
Right. One of the underrated sins of Ruben Amaro.
That's why they went away from that to the qualifying offer, because they were tired of signing Type A free agents and losing first-round draft picks. It was also because it wasn't fair, because every time you signed a Type A, you couldn't lose multiple first-round picks. So it'll depend who was worse would ever get your first. It was a terrible system, but the classification for agents is fine. So like, they sign this guy, I get a third-round pick now. That's basically how it needs to be. And then because the only way you lose picks in NFL is if you sign a tagged player, but we don't have
I totally forgot about this, and you talking about picks just made me think of this. There needs to be. I really wish you could trade picks in MLB. Like,
yes,
I agree. Well,
trade draft picks.
Oh, I agree. Well, it's like you could trade like the weird after first round picks. It's like the dumbest thing.
Compensatory.
Remember, Trey Turner is the reason why you can now trade picks, drafted players sooner.
They need to simplify, I think, a lot of these sort of pick situation for the draft, and I think that's part of the reason a lot of people don't like really. Also, the fact that just so many college players in college baseball isn't publicized as like college NFL or college football. But I think it would make it'd make the sport just easier, simpler to follow if you just simplified the system of picks for baseball. Because it's just like you said, I feel it's overly complicated, I guess.
The qualifying offer was a stupid solution.
Going back to the Type A free agents, one thing that's hilarious is Jonathan Papelbon was a Type A free agent. This was like the last year that went on. But the funny thing is, Ruben Amaro Jr. signed Jonathan Papelbon like a week,
few days before that.
Like a days before the whole system ended.
I remember this. Holy crap! Yes.
So if he just waited like a few days, waited a week, and signed
get his guy.
Jonathan Papelbon to the exact same contract, the Phillies would not have had to forfeit the first round pick that they had to forfeit because they signed Jonathan Papelbon.
Let's be real. They would have just picked like another. Oh God, why can't I think of these guys' names? They would have picked like another.
Five-tool player, five-tool lefty that couldn't make contact. Five-tool lefty outfielder.
I'll look. You talk. I'll look up the guy they draft, and they just pick another Anthony Hewitt. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, Greg Golston, Anthony Hewitt, all these guys who, if they can make contact, that'd be great, and they never could make contact.
It's like the Moneyball scene. If they're such a great hitter, why haven't they hit?
It's just so funny.
We kept drafting five-tool players in the first round that didn't have the hit tool. They had speed and fielding, and power, but never contact.
I remember that
and they always were like, we could teach the contact. No, you can't.
Okay. No, you can't.
I've never.
So
it's like for those 2 months of Cornelius Randolph, it was like, oh, he's good now. Oh no, he's not.
So there were some pretty good players that were picked around when the Phillies probably would have been picking in that pick in the 2012 draft, because they lost their 2012 first round pick as a result of signing Papelbon. Marcus Stroman was pretty late in the first round that year. Corey Seager was in the back half of the first round picks that year.
Waka, Giolito.
Jose Barrios in the supplemental first round, along with Mitch Haniger, Joey Gallo. Lance McCullers Jr., Matt Olson, like there's some real players there.
You could have drafted Zach Eflin.
Yeah, it was not a bad draft, really. It was a pretty good draft in that pick. Maybe the Phillies could have lucked into somebody that could have helped accelerate the rebuild instead of causing the Phillies to be irrelevant for a decade.
It's okay, Joe.
Okay.
We got Shane Watson.
Hey.
Yeah, we either drafted guys who couldn't hit or guys whose shoulders blew out.
Yep.
This is true. This is
true.
true.
Jonathan Pettibone.
His shoulder blew out.
Yep.
Hey, I'm getting shoulder surgery now in a week and a half. I think I'm just about ready for that Phillies administration to pick me up in the first round.
So you're gonna change your flair to Jonathan Pettibone?
Maybe. I think I surely should, right?
I mean, but it's pretty funny. We did get Eflin. Eflin was drafted two picks afterwards, and then
right? Yeah,
he ended up on the Phillies anyways.
33rd in the supplemental. We picked Watson, I think 40th.
Yeah. But yeah, we could have had Barrios, Jose Barrios.
God, Jose Barrios. We picked Watson between Haniger, Gallo, and McCullers.
Oh, I mean, Haniger was just a 2-year thing. He
was a real player, though.
There was Matt Olson, 47.
Yeah.
Let's just stop looking at. I'm just gonna stop looking at this, or else I'm just gonna get annoyed.
Yeah, but just Neil Valentin, who we ended up having and sucking, and then we picked Mitch Gweller, who was also a guy whose shoulder blew up because he had a great year in 2015 with us, and then his shoulder blew up.
Rule change. We're no longer allowed to pretend that Ruben Amaro has a voice on running a baseball team when he announces for the Phillies.
It's always funny when he talks about his time as the GM. I'm just like, shut up.
That's my pet peeve. Is the kind of repainting of history of Ruben Amaro. Oh, he got us these great guys, and he was terrible at literally everything else. Everything else besides signing these free agents.
Yeah, he signed Cliff Lee and traded for a Halladay.
He was good at getting his guy. He was so good at getting his guy, but that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
To be fair, all their prospects were bust forever, and we still got all those players. So
that's
true.
He was
able to get the value out of them.
That's true, but then he also couldn't draft anything else but busts.
No,
outside of Hoskins and Nola, of course.
Hoskins wasn't Amaro.
Oh,
J.P. Crawford worked out as a good player. J.P. Crawford's not a bust.
Hoskins was drafted 2014 with Nola.
Yeah.
J.P. Crawford was a good draft pick. J.P. Crawford, I think we can say at this point, he worked out.
He worked out. In the latter years, he was starting to figure it out. Or
one more rule change that I would want. Give us waiver trades in August again. I miss it. It was so fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh, wasn't Verlander one of those guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember. I think there's a story Verlander was traded a few minutes before midnight, on the 31st or something.
So cool.
Honestly, I mean, you don't have to do that, but I think with the way how all the team, you move it to August 15th, the trade deadline, instead of July 31st. I think that would be fine too.
Oh, I don't know if I can take another 15 days of idiotic Luis Robert speculation.
We'll get ready for it again this year.
Oh yeah, he might bounce back this time. I think he's a top tier, prospect valued player.
There you go.
Can't wait for that sub 200 average, man. Woohoo!
Anybody have anything else? We're about 45 minutes in.
A new rule change. I would define a tech swing, whether it be the risk crossing the plane, just make it something that's not. Honestly, the easy thing to be, if it's past the way the angle is for the third or first base umpire, if it's past the plane for their view, that's a swing. I think that's fair.
One last thing that I would.
That means they can see it past the plane. So I think that one's fair and kind of how it always kind of has been, really.
So last, I guess, 1.5 things I'd want to add in here. One is, I will admit, is not fully baseball related. It's not baseball related at all, but we're just on rule changes. This is on the field. I know we said we weren't doing on the field, but whatever. I've wanted this off my chest. Extra innings. I think we should have just normal innings for the first 2 innings of
I agree.
extras before going to the Ghost Runner.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Like-
12th inning, put it in. That's fine with me.
Because
Please.
teams are already in the back end of their bullpen. Like, by that point, I don't think extra innings games were usually going 12 plus anyways before the rule change.
I agree.
So I just think it's I
Yeah,
hate
just too
the
soon.
Ghost Runner. I hate the Ghost Runners so much.
Yeah.
It's fucking bullshit. It's just so stupid. It does not feel like baseball. Oh, here's a guy in second automatically. Oh, there's a hit. Now they have the lead. It's dumb. I hate it. Not related to baseball, but there should be a quote unquote kickoff in football. You have a kicking competition at the end of overtime if games are still tied to avoid a tie. Keep moving the ball
Imagine
back
that.
5 yards until somebody misses. Give the kickers some extra value.
Yeah,
Eh.
you know what? Fair enough. Fair enough. Cool.
So that's it.
Anybody have anything else before we wrap up tonight's episode?
No.
I think I'm good.
Awesome. Sounds good to me. I really appreciate you guys joining today. Thank you so much, Giles, and thank you so much, Jeremy.
No problem.
No problem.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this podcast. If you have any questions for any future episodes, in the show notes, we have a link to a Discord server. Join the Discord server and go to the podcast channel, and you can ask any questions that you have there. We check those before every single episode. Probably try to get a mailbag episode together at some point as we kind of head longer into this drought of information that we're experiencing in this point of the off season before the winter meetings. But when something does happen,
I still wait. I still want my where we just spout random Phillies and go from there episode.
Yes. No. Better idea. You have an episode, and you have to think of a player who wore each number for the Phillies. So like war number 1, war number 2, war number 3, so on and so forth.
I'll do it. I could do
Yeah,
that.
I could do that too.
Yeah, let's do it. I like that
do it.
idea. When we're kind of in the depths of the off season, that's the kind of stuff that can get us out.
How many days? Like, I mean, the easiest thing to do is start from 99. It was 99 days till spring training, whatever. Is that already? Are we
Oh,
already
we're gonna
there?
do that thing again? I'm all for it.
Oh man, 99 Taiwan Walker.
Oh God.
No, but
What a start.
yeah, right. But
Just start
yeah,
at
seriously.
1 so you can use Richie Aspern.
There you go. Cool. Well, again, thank you guys for joining. Thank you everybody for listening. We will be back at some point within the next week. My goal is to still have 2 episodes a week, but in these very slow weeks, we'll probably keep it once a week for now. So I'll talk to you all again real soon. Have a good one. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Bye.